and welcome back to another gluten-free, lactose-free and yeast-free baking video. How are we doing today? Today I'm going to be showing you my recipe for an orange cake, including orange buttercream icing, which of course will be gluten-free, lactose-free and yeast-free. You will be needing the following equipment: some scales, a grater or zester, a sieve, two 20cm or 8-inch sandwich tins. They can either be loose bottomed or not, it's whatever you have access to. Some baking paper, a pencil, some scissors, some spray oil, two mixing bowls, a wooden spoon or electric hand whisk, a spatula, a cake tester, a skewer, a toothpick or a teaspoon handle, a cooling rack, a tall glass, a piping bag and an elastic band, a plate, and finally a palette knife. You will also be needing the following ingredients. For your cake you will be needing 200 grams of butter softened, I like to use lactose-free butter, 200 grams of caster sugar, 4 medium-sized eggs beaten, the zest of 2 oranges, and 200 grams of gluten-free self-raising flour. And for your buttercream icing you will be needing 50 grams of butter softened, I like to use lactose-free butter, 70 grams of icing sugar sifted, and finally the zest of 1 orange. If you want your buttercream to be particularly orangey in taste, you can add the zest of yet another orange, but that's completely up to you. So, let's go! First things first, measure out and prepare all of your ingredients so that they're completely ready for you to use, and then preheat your oven to 190 degrees C on a conventional oven, 170 degrees C on a fan oven, or gas mark 5. So now that this is all done, it is now time to prepare our tins. So for this we will be needing our 2 sandwich tins, our baking paper, our pencil, our scissors, and our spray oil. So the first thing I'm going to do is, seeing as mine are loose bottom tins, I'm going to remove the bottom from it. Roll out my baking paper. Place the bottom of my tin to as close to the edges of the baking paper as possible so we lose as little as possible. Then I'm going to draw around it with my pencil. There we go. Place that to the side. Cut out what I've just drawn. There we go. Okay, so now moving that off to the side while I finish, I'm going to quickly give my cake tin, a quick sandwich tin, cake tin, whatever you want to call it, a quick spritz of oil. This must be a fresh one. There we go. Make sure to get all the sides. There we go. Place my baking paper in with the side you drew on facing down. When I can find a bit that I drew on. Yep, this way. There we go. Flatten that down. And then I like to give the baking paper a quick spritz as well, only a tiny bit, because I think it makes it a little bit easier to get off of the cake once they've finished baking. So now that this is all done, repeat this process with your second sandwich tin or cake tin, and then place these off to the side until you're ready to bake. So now that we've done all that nasty prep work, it is now time to begin actually making our cake. So for this we will be needing our wooden spoon or electric hand whisk, our first large mixing bowl, our spatula, and all of our cake ingredients. So the first thing I'm going to do is add all of my butter to my bowl. Followed by my caster sugar. And this is exactly why I scrape down the sides, because it gets stuck at the bottom. Come on! So now I'm going to whisk this lot together until they are light and fluffy. So now that that's all done, I'm going to add all of my eggs. And all of my orange zest. And now I'm going to beat this lot together until I have a nice smooth batter. So now that this is all looking lovely and smooth, I'm now going to begin adding a little bit of my flour to my mixture at a time, mixing all the time until it is well incorporated. Just before I finish mixing completely, I'm going to scrape around the sides of my bowl and then mix one final time for good luck, but I will show you that, so let's just get on with it. Okay, let's put you down and begin mixing. Okay, so now that this is all done, I'm just going to scrape around the sides of my flour bowl. And now, once I put that down, I'm going to scrape around the sides of my mixing bowl so I lose as little ingredients or mixture as possible to the washing up. And now I'm going to mix one final time for good luck. So now that this is all done, I'm now going to need my prepared sandwich tins. So now all that is left to do is separate this mixture between these two cake tins, sandwich tins. I call them sandwich tins, but go with whatever you feel. And one last scrape round. There we go. And now we're just going to flatten these either with a palette knife or your spatula or a wooden spoon. It's whatever you prefer. So now that that is all done, we are going to place these into our preheated oven for 20 to 25 minutes. Or until we insert a cake tester, a skewer, a toothpick or a teaspoon handle and it comes out completely clean. After that time, we're then going to take our cakes out of the oven, placing them onto a cooling rack to cool for 10 minutes, still in their tin. And then after those 10 minutes are up, we're then going to take our cakes out of their tins, placing them back onto a cooling rack to cool completely. So now that our cakes are out of the oven and are cooling, it is now time to begin making our buttercream icing. So for this we will be needing our wooden spoon or electric hand whisk, our second mixing bowl, our spatula and all of our buttercream ingredients. So the first thing I'm going to do is place all of my butter into my mixing bowl. And I'm just going to quickly beat this until smooth and creamy. So now that that is all done, I'm going to add a little bit of my icing sugar to my mixture, mixing all the time until these two are well combined. So about that much. Yeah, we'll go with it. Okay. Oh, no, dodgy. There we go. So now that that is all done, I'm just going to scrape around the sides of my icing sugar bowl, sorry. I am getting to the mixing bowl, just need to do the icing sugar bowl first. Okay, place that off to the side. Scrape around the sides of my mixing bowl so I lose as little as possible to the washing up. Now I'm going to add all of my orange zest. As I said at the beginning, this is just one orange. You can add two if you really want it to be really orangey, but it's completely up to you. And now I'm going to mix one more time until everything is fully combined. So now that this is all done, I'm now going to need my tall glass, my piping bag, my elastic band and my scissors. So what you can actually do is just wait for your cakes to cool completely and actually just use your spatula to do the spreading of the icing. But I don't mind actually doing it in a piping bag because it just gives me that little bit more control. So now that I've got everything, I'm going to open up my piping bag. If you want to use a nozzle, now is the time to do it. You would just place it in and cut it off to the size of the nozzle. But if you're not, just place your piping bag into your tall glass, wrapping the edges of your piping bag around your glass. Now using your elastic band, strap the sides of the piping bag to your glass. This just saves when you're adding buttercream into the piping bag, it doesn't just, you know, collapse in on itself while you're adding the buttercream. So I am now just going to add all of this lot into my piping bag. Okay, there we go. Just get these last little bits off. There we go. And now getting rid of the elastic band, you can either do it up or underneath the glass, it's completely up to you. Unwrap the sides of the piping bag, squeeze it down. Oh, try and get rid of all air bubbles, that would be good. There we go. Twirl the top of your piping bag. And now using your elastic band, this has two great uses. You now just wrap that. No, hold on, I need to move it up higher. You now wrap the elastic band around the top of your piping bag because this saves when you're piping. This is more for when you've got a lot of buttercream rather than the tiniest bit that I've got. it saves the buttercream going all up the beginning of the piping bag and going all over your hands, so that just saves that worry. So now that that's all done, squeeze that lot down, and now place that off to the side. We're going to use the scissors when we're ready to pipe the stuff onto the cake, so we're just going to wait for our cakes to finish cooling. So now that our cakes have finally finished cooling, it is now time to begin assembling them. So for this we will be needing our buttercream icing, our scissors, our cakes, a plate and a palette knife. So the first thing I'm going to do, and I'm not 100% sure on how to do this, is just sort of place this onto our plate. Boom, got it. And I guess that's the easiest way to do it, so I'm placing it back on the cooling rack. If you've got the room, obviously do what you can, but don't worry if you can't. So now I'm going to, with the piping bag, snip off the end. You can make it as big or as small as you like. I'm going to go about there. And now I'm just going to pipe around the edge of my cake, but not too close to it because I don't want it to spill out when I've finished everything. So around the edge, so about there. And now just fill in the centre of your icing ring with the rest of your buttercream. You can do it in whatever motion you like. I'm doing it in a zigzag. There we go. So that's that all finished with. So now is the time to begin actually spreading our buttercream out. You can do this with a spatula, or you can do it with a palette knife like I'm going to do. You want this to be as flat as possible, though don't worry too much. No one's going to see the inside of the cake, only when it's cut open, and who really pays attention to that? You just want to eat the thing. So we're going to spread this out, keeping it as level as possible, and just use gentle pressure to spread it around. It's taking me longer than it should because I'm not very practiced with this, so just go as slow or as quick as you like, and I will see you when this is all done. Okay, so that's all that spread out, so I'm just going to try and smooth it to the edges a little bit. Although when I put the other topping on the other side of the cake on, sorry, it's probably going to cover for me. This side's a bit lessing. Let's have a look. Do you know, for my standards of decorating and doing that sort of thing, it's not that bad. So I'm quite impressed with that. So now all that is left to do is to place this bit of cake on top of the other. Now you can do this whatever side you like, but if you turn it, right, this is going to get a bit technical. When you take the cake out of the oven and when you turn it out of the cake, the flat side will be the bit that cooked at the bottom. If you put that on top of the cake so that's facing up and looking at you, then the cake will be lovely and flat. But to be honest with you, if you're not decorating it, you know, it's up to you. I'm giving you the tools. What you decide to do with it is up to you. So I'm going to place the flat side so that it's facing me when it's going on the cake. Okay, so on you go, lassie. And then press you down slightly so the buttercream goes to the sides a bit more. Let's have a look. What? Falling over. I'm so happy with this. And that is it. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out the description below, as I love everything in it, including the recipe for this lovely cake and the links to all of the flour and equipment you will need for this recipe. If you do make this at home, don't forget to tag me on Instagram and use the hashtag bakingwithvickiie so that I can see all of your lovely creations. Let me know in the comments below of anything else you'd like to see me make, gluten, lactose or yeast free, as I do them all. And finally, don't forget to like, leave a nice comment and subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you next time. Bye!